Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hey Dream Drivers, before we get into today's episode, here's a quick word from one of our sponsors.
To all the HBCU students making moves, listen up. For over 20 years, McDonald's has been at the side of college hopefuls. And with over $1 million in funding this year through the Black and Positively Golden Scholarship, Mickey D's is helping HBCU students rise and flourish into their graduating roles. This scholarship season, get ready to take your place when you apply for a McDonald's Black and Positively Golden Scholarship. Visit mcdblackscholars.com to apply now. Applications close on April 25th, 2025.
I think that actually market research competitive intelligence is actually one of the best use cases to start with when it comes to AI. And I think that there are a lot of tools that are available in order for you to actually execute that. One, Answer the Public is really great if you want to look for specific keywords related to your audience. And then being able to extract large amounts of data to actually be able to get more insight as to what your actual audience actually wants. Hi, my name is Adamma Ihemeson, founder and CEO of the Automated CMO, and you're listening to Dreams in Drive.
So there's this thing, Dream Drivers, that's here to stay. AI, artificial intelligence, it's taken over the world, our lives, and our futures. And what better way than to have a guest on the show today come on and share her journey building her career in AI and how we as Dream Drivers can use it to advance our own dreams and lives. So personally, aside from Chat GPT, I don't really know that much about AI. I don't really know just how deep you can go with it and how just deep people are already going with it. So this was truly an eye-opening conversation. So here's a little bit more about our guest today. Adamma Ihemeson is a seasoned marketer with over 8 years of experience in product marketing, growth hacking, marketing automation, and GTM strategy. She is the founder of the Automated CMO, an AI marketing education hub on a mission to make AI marketing more accessible. Adamma was first introduced to AI at a live webinar hosted by Jasper AI back in 2021 and was instantly hooked. Since then, she has created 30 plus custom prompts for product launch campaigns, built low-code AI marketing systems, and became certified as an AI developer through MindStudio. Now she's teaching marketers how to start confidently adopting AI as an assistant, not a replacement. There's so much in this episode that we explore, so make sure you're following us on social at Dreams and Drive and share if you enjoyed this episode. Let's get to it.
Hi, I'm doing really good, honestly. How are you doing?
I'm good, crazy work day, happy to just have some time away from these crazy kids of mine. But beyond that, doing well. And I'm just really excited for this conversation. I think AI is something that a lot of us are trying to navigate in this new world of 2024, chasing our dreams. So being able to share your journey is going to be a fun one.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm excited to start about it.
Let us get started. I love to kind of go back in time to who we were as children. I think it's really important for just understanding and just kind of making sense of who we are today. So if I was to say who was the 8-year-old Adamma and what was inspiring you, what would you say?
8-year-old Adamma was curious, big lover of reading and writing, honestly. I also took an interest into early Microsoft a little bit and just computers in general. But I didn't dive too much into it because there was a lot of questions pertaining to it. 8-year-old Adamma was firstborn, is Nigerian American, has Nigerian immigrant parents. And honestly, yeah, I was both tall and just curious and willing to explore and try new things. So I actually, when I was 9 years old, my mom cut all my hair off.
Wait,
And
by
yeah,
choice or
not by choice, not my choice, first of all. Because I was no. But she didn't understand natural hair as much. So she cut all my hair off when I was 9 years old, and everyone always confused me and my brother for a year. But yeah, no, I really shaked it off. And really it wasn't too much of a big deal to me, honestly. And I kind of rolled with it. So yeah.
So where in the world or where in the US did you grow up?
So I grew up in the suburbs right outside of Chicago. And I honestly lived there like majority of my life. Was pretty much like very like extroverted, like really a huge tomboy for like a long time until seventh grade, actually. So like most of my friends were guys. Like I loved like playing sports. I played basketball for a bit. And then my sophomore year of high school, I actually moved out of the country to Nigeria and I went to boarding school for a year, before coming back and then finishing my education here. So.
Okay, so if looking back, do you remember what the dream was for you back then?
Yeah, there were a lot of dreams. This is definitely one of the things I reflect on a lot. My dreams have really like shifted multiple times. So like it really started like I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an author, tell stories. And honestly, the thing that really inspired that is Arthur. I was a huge fan of Arthur. I just like
Mm.
love the way that that you should share stories. And I wanted to be able to do the same thing. From there, I did start like catching an interest into more of the sciences. So like it shifted from like wanted to do cardiology, wanted to do neuroscience. And then I think at one point I wanted to do epidemiology. There was another period of time when I wanted to do like be a forensic pathologist. And that was inspired because of the character of Ducky from NCIS. So that was a whole nother era. But yeah, no, I think the biggest thing really was like at the end of the day, it really was like storytelling, what I wanted to do. And I think that, well, one, I wanted to do journalism when I was like graduating from high school, applying to colleges. My mom was like, no, you're not doing that.
Why do immigrant parents kill dreams so quickly? My parents are Jamaican American, they're Jamaican. I'm Jamaican American, but I just feel like there's this whole that could be a whole nother topic, right? That could be a podcast episode within itself. The how your parents could be dream killers, especially if you're immigrant parents. If you have immigrant parents.
Yeah, I think that it's a lot to do with like security and like wanting to be able to set us up for success, honestly. But I do think that it has a lot more to do. Like my mom has been a nurse for like 30 plus years, so that's all she knows, honestly, in terms of career. And when I told her I wanted to do journalism, she was like, no, do your first degree in nursing. You can do your master's like on in anything that you want. I did try like doing pre-nursing and worked at a nursing home as a CNA for 9 months and then just stopped showing up. So nursing, I knew from a jump, like my mom was already a nurse like throughout my childhood, and I knew I didn't want to do nursing, but like her recommendation and also kind of the pitch and negotiation of like, if you do it and stay home for 2 years at community college, I'll buy you a car. And I was 18. So yeah, I was like, yeah, no problem. Say less. Like I'm gonna do that. But yeah, no, I think that I've gone through a lot of transitions, honestly, in my career, which is like very crazy to say because like I feel like it still is technically just starting. But I think that I've really like pulled from all of those experiences, honestly.
So let's talk about a little bit of those transitions because I know of a lot of us who are listening in may be in similar situations. So talk to us about what you thought you wanted to do, right? And a little bit about that career journey. And then we'll end right before AI, right? I want to know how you got to AI, but I think the journey there is going to be super important for us to understand.
Yeah, so I was pre-nursing in community college for like 2 years. And then I always planned on transferring to a four-year university. But when I transferred, I wanted to be strategic and I knew I didn't want to do nursing anymore. So I did my bachelor's of science in community health with a concentration in health administration. But then when I graduated and before that, I took my health administration like focus, like course, and I hated it. I had no interest in it like whatsoever. So after I graduated, I was always curious in like nonprofits. social impact is really like huge for me. So I like looked at nonprofits to work out and was able to join a local nonprofit in Chicago. First time working in the city, first time, like first big girl job. And honestly, it was really formative because like I had the privilege of having supervisors and coworkers that looked like me. So like my first supervisor was a Black woman. She was so supportive of me. She really like made me like want to try and like really explore different angles, different strategies. And then from there, like because nonprofits can be really resourceful and it's really all hands on deck, I started utilizing and revitalizing their social media, and that's where my transition into marketing actually started. So I was there for 2 years, and then I was like, obviously during the pandemic, like I was ready to like move on, but didn't really know exactly what it is I wanted to do. I always knew I was going to go back to school. I just didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. My mom was like, just go back to school. I was like, you know what? That'll be my exit plan for this job. So I went to get my master's of science and marketing. And accelerated that. And while I was doing that, I was actually freelancing on the side as I was doing my master's program. And that's when I was able to work with like nonprofit agencies, freelance on my own with like social justice, economic development, police accountability, and legislative campaigns. And then after I finished my graduate program and like all of my like like contracts ended, I made a leap and actually moved out to Baltimore because the CEO at the time, she found me on LinkedIn because I had worked with like Baltimore nonprofits, did it informal, formal, took a leap and like transitioned into tech and to startups. So I was the first product marketing hire, and then I led their engagement department for like 15 months, but I was there for 2 years. And then that kind of started the journey into AI.
So let's talk about that huge pivot, right? So well, it's not that. I'm saying location shift because you're coming from Chicago to Baltimore. Different coast,
Mhm.
different time zone. How was it like for you to take that jump? Because a lot of us sometimes, like, if you hadn't have taken that jump, you wouldn't be where you are today. So reflecting back on that huge transition for you, what was the biggest thing you learned through that?
Yeah, honestly, like one, I was actually really grateful to have an idea as to like what it is that I wanted to transition when it came to going into startups. So I knew that I was already like well versed in marketing, but I knew there was a lot of like different entities like and like options and concentrations when it comes to marketing. So actively reached out to other people who are either in tech, who are in startups, or who are just like knowledgeable about like tech careers. And I actually attended Black Black Women Talk Tech has an annual conference. Yeah,
Let
Roadmap to
me
Billions.
No, let me tell you. What year did you attend that one?
So I went. I did go this past year. I went last year, the year before, and then the first time I went was virtual. So I did go
Oh,
virtual. I believe that was like 2022.
okay.
So like that's my first like introduction to it.
So they were on the show. The founders of Black Women Talk Tech were on the show. And the crazy thing is, when I first moved into my place, well, that's a whole different story. But turns out, my landlord is one of the founders as well. But I didn't know that until we met at the, like, when you sign the lease or whatever, and you meet the landlord in person for the first time. I was like, wait, you look familiar. And then she was like, I do. And then it just all turned out. So like, so many different worlds collide. But all right, let's get back to your story.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah. So I was able to go to those sessions, and like that was actually really informative for me when it came to like getting introduction into product marketing. Like I loved like being able to like learn about products. I didn't even fully understand what tech was, honestly, before that conference. So on top of that, being able to like I actually came to Baltimore before I officially moved to Baltimore. So like, cause like I really trust my intuition, and I also want to kind of like get a feel of like the city in general. I walk everywhere, like ask anyone, I will walk if that's my first like mode of transportation, honestly. So being a walkable city, that was also something that really helped. But yeah, that honestly, like being able to like connect with other people that were already in like a startup space or already in tech really helped me into like making this leap, and also knowing that I always, when I'm looking at a role, I'm always like looking like I want to make sure that I'm like learning what is it that I actually want to learn from it. So that like if it's going to be valuable, if it's something that I see that is going to be impactful in the long run, then that's like what I saw with the role. So I took that leap and then moved to Baltimore.
And then lastly, quick thing I want to know is what were you realizing were your strengths, your career strengths during this time?
Adaptability, huge, 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 huge. Honestly, and I think that has like honestly shown it like for a long time, even since I was younger. Like I can be very resilient. I can really jump into like new things very quickly and learn things very quickly as well. That was another huge one of my strengths. And also being able to like look at things from different angles, looking like I am a person that I don't like to look at things like in a linear way, honestly. I love looking at different perspectives. I love looking at different like angles, different strategies on how to execute different things. And I know that like there are blueprints that exist in order to like get started, but I think that that is really a foundation. From there, I really am able to like innovate it and like curate it to like either the brand or like what type of role it is that I'm actually doing. So those are a couple of things I really saw as like a huge strength for me. Honestly, especially the like I'm an everlasting learner, I'm an everlasting educator. I'm always looking for like to upskill, looking for workshops, webinars, like that is like I'm always curious about like gaining more knowledge. So that has been like a huge help for me and like whenever I transition just in general. And I honestly, it's definitely one of my biggest prides of myself is like, I just love to learn, honestly. I love like just gaining knowledge in general.
I feel like all the people that I have on my podcast we would have all been cool as kids or just cool in real life. I need to just get us all together, all the guests on the show, because I'm the same way. I love learning. Namados, tell me what inspired this career pivot into AI, right? I know a lot of our journeys, we have this catalyst moment or this aha moment where something just clicks and you're like, yeah, I need to ride this wave.
Yeah, so I actually got introduced to AI by, again, being curious me. I was following someone on TikTok called Rachel Pedersen, and she was co-hosting a live webinar with Jasper. So I attended that. Like they hosted it live on YouTube. Like
What's
they had a
Jasper,
demo.
by the way?
So Jasper AI is an AI marketing co-pilot platform. Honestly, they're kind of like the top of the game, like top tier AI marketing platform to utilize. And they have pre-built templates for blogs, for different types of like marketing, such as product marketing, content marketing, um, like also email marketing. They have like a vast number of highly trained like AI models that are specifically curated to support marketing and marketing teams. So I went to the webinar for that, saw the demo, honestly was blown away. I was like, I need subscription before the webinar even ended, honestly. And like I was freelancing at the time, so I was gradually like starting to integrate it within my marketing. And then another shift was when I was a product marketer at my previous employer, Ecomap, the CEO that hired me, she actually encouraged me to like start looking a little bit more into AI and see how I could utilize it and take advantage of it with my work.
Hey, Dream Drivers. So there's this new podcast from Audible I'm really excited about, Self-Conscious with Chrissy Teigen. It's a safe space to embrace the twists and turns of personal growth, one conversation at a time. No judgments, just the real about what this all means and great conversations along the way. I really love that Chrissy's personality is so down to earth and how she's putting a spotlight on the ups and downs of what it means to be figuring this thing called life out. You can hear from Chrissy weekly as she talks to her guests about life-changing ideas and concepts and share sharing practical tools for everyday life. I'm talking inspiring dope guests like Mel Robbins, Nidra Glover Tawwab, Adam Grant, and Gabby Bernstein. And you know we're all on this road to bettering ourselves, so this podcast needs to be on your must-listen list. There's something here for everyone, no matter what stage of the journey you're on, and some of the tools the guests share are just what I need with where I am with figuring out this new stage of life that I'm in. Self-Conscious with Chrissy Teigen, the new wellness podcast from Audible. Expand your self-awareness, gain valuable insights, and become more self-conscious. New episodes drop each week. Go to audible.com/Chrissy Podcast or wherever you get your podcasts and start listening today.
The Quarter Pounder with Cheese had many great things. Maple-flavored griddle cakes isn't one of them. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Get more than you expect with the $5 meal deal, part of new McValue. 5 gets you a McDouble or McChicken and a small fry and a small drink and a 4-piece McNuggets. Woo! New McValue at McDonald's. Prices of participation may vary. McDouble meal $6 in some markets for limited time only.
To all the HBCU students making moves, listen up. For over 20 years, McDonald's has been at the side of college hopefuls. And with over $1 million in funding this year through the Black and Positively Golden Scholarship, Mickey D's is helping HBCU students rise and flourish into their graduating roles. This scholarship season, get ready to take your place when you apply for a McDonald's Black and Positively Golden Scholarship. Visit mcdblackscholars.com to apply now. Applications close on April 25th, 2025.
So I started utilizing Jasper, which is another introduction into AI for me, which she recommended. And then I started creating like custom prompts for product launches from there. And I started having conversations just about like AI in general and what I was learning with other marketers. And what I noticed, like just in general in the space, one, I had the advantage of like my employer at the time helped fund some of the like that education when it came to AI and like upskilling within AI. And then I also invested my own money when it came to that. But then what I was noticing in my conversation with other marketers is like, how do you even get started? They're already overwhelmed to like try to learn something new. And then, or not really understanding exactly what the use case of AI actually was. And then on top of that, when it comes to like AI, especially now, like it's now starting to get a lot more hype. Education is starting to become way more gated. It is now becoming a little bit more inaccessible for people to learn. And especially with women, there's a huge risk of this skills gap when it comes to AI adoption. And not just that, but like whenever I'm in those spaces, like in the AI space, there's rarely anyone that looks like me at all. So I honestly, that was really my aha moment. I was like, okay, I think that people need something like a platform or like some sort of like a centralized hub to be able to actually start utilizing and learning AI. And because like I'm specifically focused on like marketers and my conversations was with marketers, and that's my experience with starting to adopt it. That's what I really wanted to start with, is like showing people how to really start actively and confidently adopt it within their marketing workflows and processes beyond just like, creating prompts. Because like I always have, when I have conversations with other people, with other marketers, I always like emphasize the focus of really systematizing it. Like prompt engineering, that was really my, I stepped deeper into it, creating prompts. But then I was able and privileged to be able, again, I found another workshop, webinar with an AI app builder called MindStudio. And that was where I was able to really start visualizing and seeing that like this is the way that it could actually be systematized. That was really kind of like my journey with like within AI has really been like I fell into it, but then like I actively was exploring it, and just like my conversations with the marketers, they're curious, but they're overwhelmed and they don't even know where to start.
Does it excite you to be in this space now?
It does, honestly. It does. I cannot tell you how much material I have just in general, honestly, when it comes to AI. One of the things that I have created is like a process of transforming a prompt into an AI agent. And I think that's like a big thing in terms of filling the gap when it comes to like, okay, I want to jump into AI, but I don't even know like how to actually start like using it as a system, or like they don't know what a blueprint is. So that really excites me. Being the DMV area also, I think that is honestly like a really great like hub within AI. I recently went to DC Startup and Tech Week conference that was happening like last month. And that was definitely one of the first times I was able to see people in the AI space that looked like me. So that was also something that was like very encouraging, and just like inspiring in general. And I've also been able to just like through my journey of continuously upskilling and taking courses and continuously learning, I've been able to like be introduced to like other women in the space, which is another thing that is honestly a little bit of a rarity, but I'm hoping that that's going to change in the near future. So that I really do enjoy like being in this space, and it does actually really excite me. And I just want to get people just as excited about it as much as well.
A lot of our listeners, number one, are women, right? Number one, are trying to learn how to market their businesses or serve as some sort of CMO function within their dream driving journey. So I would love to you to talk about, like, number one, what is AI within this world for us, right? And then where are the ways that you think individuals who have, like, are trying to launch brands or trying to market or trying to grow can really leverage AI tools?
Yeah. So to me, I always tell saying that artificial intelligence is really just like something that is can be trained to execute or automate processes for you. So that is really I specifically like see and utilize AI in general. And when it comes to marketing, I think that a lot of the conversation has been in terms of like content generation, which I do think that is a huge lift in terms of being able to like generate content ideas or even getting like a first draft when it comes to like writing content on social blogs, email. But I think that an additional step is like thinking about building a whole campaign like from like 0 to 1 using AI, or being able again, I really focus on like agents and like how to actually train them in order to execute specific like tasks. So say for example, one like simple use case is if you want to be able to continuously like communicate with like your customers or with your audience, being able to have like either a built-in chatbot or to have a highly trained agent to like respond for you and actually learn about your brand so that you're able to keep in communication with your customers. So that's definitely a huge use case. I think another use case honestly is really again when it comes to like say I think a really great example is like start off asking questions like to AI and like see where you could go from there. So whether it's like exploring and utilizing and testing different prompts when it comes to your business, and then from there, like seeing what their recommendation is in terms of tools, in terms of like next steps, and like really like basically drafting like end to end steps, strategies, processes that you can be able to like to fit or execute within your business. Tap in a little bit more into in terms of marketing. I think that brand strategy is definitely a really huge like lift when it comes to AI. And I think that that is actually a really big thing that some people are able to like get confused about when it comes
Let's
to their
let's let's
business.
talk let's talk about that, like in real life. Like
Yeah.
what would an example of that be? And then how would you leverage it to help build that brand strategy? Because I know, for example, one of the things I've been using AI for, very simple, testing episode titles for the show. Because I
Hmm.
feel like episode titles, it can be so hard to figure out what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. I've been using, I don't know if this is a good one, this is just the one I know, the Chat GPT Open AI. I've just been using like putting in a list of, titles. Here's my show. Tell me which one you think will perform better. And the stuff that they give back is really interesting. It has really helped me even think about like how to go about forming these titles moving forward. But like, yeah, let's talk about brand strategy. Then how, if you were someone's CMO from the automated CMO, which you are, right? Like, how would you help someone really work to get those AI tools to help them build this. Imagine a place where you can unwind and relax. IKEA can help turn your bedroom into a calm oasis. From comfy mattresses to the perfect lights, we've got everything to create your dream bedroom so you can sleep like a baby. And the best part, all at incredible prices. Head to IKEA and grab everything you need. Get ready to rest, dream, and wake up feeling refreshed. Shop today at your local store or at ikea-usa.com/sleep-es and get it delivered straight to your door with our convenient delivery services.
Yeah, so the way that I see it is, especially when it comes to brand strategy, even before you even step into the brand strategy, market research. I think that actually market research, competitive intelligence is actually one of the best use cases to start with when it comes to AI. And I think that there are a lot of tools that are available in order for you to actually like execute that. One, Answer the Public is really great if you want to like look for like specific keywords related to like your audience. And then being able to extract like large amounts of data to actually be able to get more insight as to like what your actual audience actually wants. And then if you want to really get like a little bit more advanced in it, building agents and integrating tools such as Appify, which already has like pre-built like systems in order to like extract gated like socials such as like Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, slash X, which that's a whole nother conversation. So being able to like actually extract data and analyze like who your existing audience is based on like your existing competitors or based off of like your like the target audience that you are familiar with and getting a lot more insight when it comes to that. I think from there, being able to strategize as to how you want to come across and how you want to present yourself to your audience, because that is really what branding is at the end of the day, it's like, how do you actually want to communicate with them? How do you want people to resonate with you? What is the message that you want to be able to portray and share with your audience? So I think that one, being able to understand like who your audience is, that doing that market research, and then also understanding and asking questions as to how you want to actually represent yourself. So brand tone and voice. So do you want to be playful? Do you want to be conversational? Do you want to be authentic? You know, really thinking about like the adjectives and then like playing around with like how those like different types of messaging works when you're utilizing those different adjectives by like prompting it with Chat GPT or having an agent guide you through that step by step. Another way is definitely in terms of like positioning your brand like with like your acquisition channels. So how are you actually going to gain attention? How are you actually going like how are you going to reach your audience? How are you going to have conversations with them? So, and that again goes back to market research and understanding exactly like where your audience actually exists. So I think that those are a couple of things that really like that are like great use cases to really start out with. Like if you want to start simple way of just like utilizing prompts and really like prompting it to give you examples of like brand colors that could fit or suggestions of brand colors that how you want to present it. And maybe you have an idea on a visual sense of how you want to represent yourself or how you want to be like how you want to represent to your audience. Prompting ChatGPT or Cloud or Gemini, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't like Gemini, but that's just me. But prompting it based off of your information and like asking it to give you recommendations on like what are some brand colors that you can play around with is definitely another way to go about in terms of branding. And then take it a step further again. Now, once you have brand tone, brand voice, now you have like brand colors. Let's talk about the actual messaging and like figure out what like that mission statement is, what the vision is, how you actually want to talk to your audience. That is going to pull back to from your brand tone and voice, and then based off of like what your audience is like wanting or desiring, being able to craft what that messaging actually looks like. And in order to take a step further, in order to really authenticate it for your brand, for your business, you really need to understand like what you stand for and like what it is that you actually want to like present to other people. So I think that for me, like with the automated CMO, I had to really ask a question as to like, how do I want people to feel within this brand? What do I want people to really get out of it? And honestly, like also, I think that it is part of the brand is me, is like just how I am. I am, again, very curious. I love like continuously educating like myself and others. So being able to have like pour that information and really understanding what it is that I wanted to represent on top of the like the information that you're able to extract from your prompts and from Chat GPT, going from there so that you have honestly a starting point. Because I do think that at the end of the day, I think there still needs to be human oversight, like when it
I was
comes
going
to
to ask you
AI.
about that.
Yeah. I don't like there is asynchronous and then there's like autonomous AI, right? Asynchronous autonomous is like it does all of it. It automates like the process on its own. There is little to no human oversight. But asynchronous is like you act still have human oversight. You still have like human input when it comes to like your outputs or the results that you're actually getting. So I think that for me personally, that's like, I think that's why co-pilots such as Jasper AI, those like allow you to still have human like insight, human input when it comes to like utilizing AI in that standpoint. And I do think that in my perspective, AI, when you give it its prompt, if you highly train it, it's going to get you, I believe, 70-80% of the way there. And I think that 20% is where you really jump in. But what it really cuts time on is like getting to that 80% and like getting to a starting point that you can be able to draft, edit, revise to your own like to your own desires, to your own brand, to your own messaging, to your own vision. So I'm really like, and that's why I always like emphasize like the way that I want to help people is really helping them confidently start adopting it as an assistant, not a replacement. I think there's like a lot of fear mongering and a lot of conversations in terms of like whose job it's going to take over.
I wanted
And
to ask, let me ask you about that because, I think a lot
yeah,
of us, there's some of us, and I think I have like my mother's voice in my head, like, you can't trust it, you can't trust it. Or even my sister will be like, watch what you put in AI because they're stealing all your data. There's all this conversation about what it is going to do and from a negative place. Why do you think it's so important, especially for women of color, people of color, minorities who are trying to build these big brands or launch something to start adopting it without all the fear?
yeah, I think that well, one, honestly, with AI, it's not going to slow down. Like it's not going to slow down, and there is honestly a huge risk of people being left behind, which is honestly something that's really terrifying. So I think that we're still in very much like the early stages of like publicly accessible AI because that's really what happened. Like AI has been around since like the 70s. Like it's been around for a long time. ChatGPT just made it more accessible for people to access, for people to utilize, in their like day-to-day lives. So I always emphasize that people should really start adopting it. One, because honestly, employers are going to look for that. They will start looking for like being able to cut costs, being able to be like more productive and save time and money at the end of the day. But I also do think that being able to understand even like the foundations of AI and being able to have those conversations as to recommendations when it comes to like being able to offload or delegate specific tool like tasks that are really time consuming and could be like low ROI. It allows you to really allocate your time and your focus to your strengths or to more high ROI tasks for your business or your brand. So that's honestly like the really big thing that I always like emphasize when it comes to like why people should really start adopting it. Because again, it is like it moves really quickly. Like I will say that I think that is just a fact when it comes to AI. It shifts. It is like there are new models that come out all the time. But I think that really understanding what is your skill set? What is your knowledge? What is your expertise? And how can you start adopting AI within that? Like cut out the noise with all the conversations when it comes to like, oh, there's a new tool with this. Oh, there's a new tool with that. Oh, now we're moving into like AI agents and workflows and all that stuff. Let's start with the basics and let's focus on what do you know? What is your expertise? What is your knowledge? And what are some use cases that you can start offloading, like utilizing AI? And when I talk about that, what I mean is that I usually recommend people to really start doing like an audit and really mapping out like what does your day-to-day look like? What are some of your operational tasks? What are some of the tasks that you actually enjoy doing that give you fulfillment that you are skilled at? And what are the tasks that I'm okay with giving it to someone else to do? I don't want to spend time to do this at all. Really identifying that is really, I think, is like the best way to really start adopting AI and really starting to like use it to your advantage without being so overwhelmed about like all of the noise that's happening within like the industry or the workforce in general.
That's what I've even been trying to do, because I think in the beginning I was kind of listening to the fear mongering and I'm like, oh, they're trying to steal our data to control our minds, right? But now that I know, like, AI really can be a tool for good use, but like what you said, there still needs to be a human behind it, because a lot of us, so I work in marketing as my full-time job, right? And I think we get scared of it because we think, oh my gosh, it's going to replace my job. Like, I'm a sponsorships girl. Is AI going to now be pitching to these salespeople instead of me? But I think if you develop the skills and know how to leverage it to make yourself more productive, then that's where the AI tool will really make sense. I think about it. When was the internet launch? Like when did the internet come
It
to?
was like, yeah, there was like 1990s. I think so,
But
but I might be wrong.
But think about it. When the internet first came out, people were probably like, what the heck is this? But imagine now how much we cannot go 2 hours without the internet, without Wi-Fi. We start going crazy if our Wi-Fi connection's down. So everyone kind of had to learn how to adjust to this new World Wide Web. So I think we're in a technology stage where don't see it as something that negative, embrace the positive around it, and there's whole new industries being formed just like you. So
Yeah.
I would love for you to quickly talk about with the automated CMO, what did you see as like how did you see you could create a difference within this niche and build out your own brand? Because not only are you now leveraging the tools, you're also building a business around this knowledge base that you were able to acquire.
Yeah, so the Automated CMO is an AI marketing education hub that is on a mission to make AI marketing more accessible. So again, like because I am a marketer and like I started exploring AI within marketing, that is like really like the first instance that I really wanted to address. On top of like again, AI education is starting to become it really has become gated. It's becoming very expensive
Why?
as well.
Why is it becoming gated, do you think?
So I think it's becoming gated because of the demand of it, honestly. I think that it's really to be a little bit more selective in terms of like how, like, who actually wants to start exploring it, like how you actually want, like, making sure not to share people's like data, people's like intellectual property. I think that's the reason why, honestly, it's becoming a lot more gated. I think it's becoming expensive because like it's just a demand. Like I think the demand of it, of that skill is just going to continue to increase. And I think that with that demand, that is just going to increase like being able to access education when it comes to it. But I do think it is on top of that people who are early adopters, because I do think that we are still very much in the early adoption like era of AI. I think that people who are early adopters, I think they want to be able to upcharge and like get money back or get their money's worth back because they've already spent so much time being able to understand how it works, understand how like creating use cases for it, how to actually create those workflows, how to effectively use it in specific like use cases and industries. So I think that's the reason why it's becoming a lot more expensive, to be honest. As well as like I think just the tools in general. Like some people utilize a multitude of tools and they want to like offset the cost when it comes to it. So I think that I know like me personally, I know who like my competitors are. But like I think that there really isn't like a place for people to be able to like access like how to actually start utilizing it and breaking down on a like a fundamental level. Or even like when it comes to questions about like what are like the AI marketing tools anyways? Like there are AI tools just in general. And I always like I'm not shy
Are
about it.
there
I always like,
are there specific AI marketing tools?
yeah. So Jasper is definitely one of them. Jasper, I think, is honestly like the leader when it comes to like AI marketing tools, like in the industry. There are also other tools. I think that there are tools that are like starting to like adopt the language of AI and like say like it's AI focus or like it's AI like adoption in a sense. And I'm just like, mm, I think you're kind of just like hopping into the height of AI.
So
But Jasper is definitely.
I'm just looking at the website. Like, I didn't know about Jackson before I even, do my research
Yeah.
on you. Like, this is a lot of stuff that you can do within it.
Yes. Yeah. So and my Jasper has really advanced over like the last like 3 years since I've been since I was first introduced to it. But like I think that if you're focused on like specific industries, other marketing tools that you can utilize that are also like content generation, Copy AI is another one. I believe Copy AI has been like more so geared towards enterprise levels, as well as Writer AI is another one, which is founded by a woman. So that's another platform that is like available in terms of like marketing. I think that there are AI tools that you can utilize for marketing that are not necessarily like designed for marketers, but can be advantageous for marketing. So Perplexity, I specifically utilize Perplexity for market research, mainly because like I think that it is able to give like credentials and like citations as to like where it's getting its information from. And on top of that, I do think that it also gives you kind of like a space to be able to like ask questions, simplify questions to be able to get your results and then refine it, like go from there. Basically like creating a thread, honestly. There are other like email marketing tools and also like video marketing if you want to get into video marketing, such as like creating like an AI avatar and utilize that to like advertise like your yeah, honestly, there's a whole nother like entity in terms of that. So Hey Jen is one, and then Synthesia is another one. Those two are leaders in the market when it comes to just like video generation. And what it does, I think is, which is really cool, is that what you do is like you record yourself, like a 2-minute video of yourself, and then it basically replicates to your voice and like creates an avatar of yourself. So that like say if you don't want to be the one creating videos, create an avatar that is actually just like speaking for you and it's still you. It's just like the
Wait,
avatar that's created.
wait.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I get this down. What's the name of that one?
So Hey Jen is one of them, and then Synthesia is another one. It's what is it?
Oh my.
Synthesia. So two of those.
Should we be afraid of the future of AI? I know we talked about fear mongering, but like, do you see a world where? Well, this is the real question here. How important will be authentic people in the future? In the sense of, like, if I don't have to, if I could just, have this AI avatar communicating in the world, do you foresee a future where, like, the individual is I don't know what I'm trying to say because I don't think I have the thought yet. But do you know what I mean? In a world where AI takes
So.
over, where does the individual like voice, the individual
Mhm.
thinking, like where will that still be important for? Because a lot of us are creators, right? Like, I have a
Mhm.
podcast. I want to be able to still be interviewing you in person versus your avatar. Do you think that's going to be the future where
Yeah, I think that, well, one, I think there's still a lot of hesitancy when it comes to like AI adoption based off of like, so like fears such as like, oh, an avatar is going to be like doing my job for me. But I do think, one, I do think that like the gap when it comes to AI and where people are going to be able to still have impact is like strategy, business strategy, like innovation, being creative, honestly. I always look at AI as an assistant. Like it's going to help me like get to like another like from A to B or from A to Z, but I can still provide it direction. It is at the end of the day, it can't really function unless like you're creating like those like autonomous like workflows. It can't really function without human input. So like it like that is really like the thing at the end of the day. So I think that yes, there is like a little bit of a fear of like, oh, avatars are going to just be talking for us. Like it's going to be like a replication of that. But I do think that there are people out there that are also actively working on like AI ethics and governance to be able to like mitigate that and be able to like, well, one, sometimes like there are some people who are really emphasizing on like if you're using AI, you should have like some sort of disclaimer that you're using AI, especially when it comes to like using it as like an avatar. So there's this one person that I follow on LinkedIn that I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he uses Hey Jen. Like he uses like an avatar to like basically speak for him. But he uses a disclaimer that like, oh, this is not me, this is like an avatar of me. So I think that like really leading into like what the ethics and the governance are actually going to look like. I think that that's going to be able to have like guardrails when it comes to like, oh, AI is going to take over and things like that.
Well, this has been such an interesting conversation. I just think that, like, I'm excited. I'm over here. I'm like, I'm about to make a video, a free AI video generator. I just want to see how these tools can help me because, I was very hesitant to even using Chat GPT. But then when I got on it, I'm like, wait, it's helping me actually create episode titles that help me perform better. It's helping me like think through here's what you should be considering. Here's what your audience
Yeah.
wants. Here's how this stuff performs. So there are ways to embrace it along our journeys. And it's kind of like if you don't learn how to drive a car, I think a lot of people say, I'm not gonna learn how to drive a car, but at some point you gonna want to know how to drive. So right.
Yeah.
Learn how to start driving from now. What's exciting you the most, Adama, about like the future of the automated CMO and just the impact that you'll be able to make?
Yeah. So honestly, one of the things that's really exciting is that I am now making a little bit of a shift in terms of like being product focused, and being like, and I think that that is going to actually help in terms of like the accessibility part of like my brand and my mission. Just because like I think that some people will be like the ones that want to be like, how do you do what you do? How do you like create the workflows? How do you create the agents? And there are some people who are like, I just want the tools. Like, I
Mhm.
just want the tools. I just want the templates. I just want to have access to them and then start using them. So I think being able to marry both of them is the thing that is really exciting me about like the automated CMO is really being able to kind of like be at the forefront of having multiple pre-built templates, marketing templates for marketers to start adopting, as well as not just that, but also adding on to the education aspect of it. I think there is still a huge gap when it comes to AI education. I think there are people who are still addressing it in terms of like, oh, they have like an AI newsletter and they have a course, or like there are some YouTubers that I could think off the top of my head that are also like at the forefront of like AI education. But I still think that there is still a huge gap when it comes to it, honestly. So I really want to feel like be a part of filling that gap, of being able to like educate people on how to like start confidently like adopting it and utilizing it. And then also like I've leaned on a lot of partnerships, honestly. So I've leaned on a partnership for with this one webinar that I did, mastering content marketing and scaling with AI, with another marketer, Sierra Dowd. And we literally met on like a speed networking event virtually, and like both of our energies matched so well. So I think that that has really been fruitful and just like being able to like partner with other marketers and like really showcasing exactly like what like how it could be expanded, like how that specific like focus or category within market can be expanded with AI. So yeah, I'm really excited about like just being able to be like at the forefront of really educating people and having them have access and test out like how to actually start being more productive when it comes to like being a marketer. But then not just that, but I do see like myself expanding beyond just the CMO because like the CMO is really just like focused on the marketing aspect of things. But I do think there's like huge gap when it comes to like entrepreneurs, startup founders, and like them being able to have kind of like a roadmap or blueprint for them to start utilizing and growing their business. I think that's another avenue to really address. And I think that some right now like are being able to address like how to actually start building through pre-accelerators, through accelerators, through incubators. But I think that being able to also have like an avenue or a hub accessible for them to be able to understand how to like start from like start to finish and basically have an assistant helping them when it comes to that. I think that that's also another like huge advantage and opportunity I'm really excited about. I have a lot of things on the pipeline to be honest, like no joke. So I honestly like I'm really excited for like all of like my upcoming projects when it comes to just like AI in general. Yeah, that is really like the biggest thing I'm excited about.
You know what I hear or what I'm thinking about when I'm listening to you speak about your journey? So just take me through the timeline really quickly. You first heard about Jasper 3 years ago, right? Was it 3 years
Hmm.
ago?
Yeah,
So
3 years ago.
for people listening in 3 years ago, and look how much you've done. Look how deep you got. Like you stumbled upon this passion, right? You found a niche, you found a market gap, and you're now building out this dream. You're putting a new dream into drive. It can happen at any time, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily be like what you think. Like, you wouldn't have thought the 8-year-old Adamma wouldn't have thought like, you wouldn't have thought that you wouldn't have like, could you have imagined this, that this would be your career now?
No, honestly, I definitely would haven't managed it at all in any way, shape, or form, to be honest. But I am really excited. Like, I think that it kind of makes sense, to be honest. I think that it's like, it's always been very fast moving, and I've always been a very fast moving person. And then another thing I didn't even realize until like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I was like, my initials are AI. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Adamma,
so I was like,
that is
yeah, my initials
crazy.
are AI. I'm like, oh my God, that's not something I could have controlled, but I didn't even know that was happening. So I was like,
You gotta add that into every like at every end of any speech, any speaking engagement, you could be like, destiny. You never know.
yeah,
I
basically,
love
yeah.
it.
'Cause I didn't even, I literally did not notice until like 3, 4 months ago. I was like, oh, my initials are AI. What? Okay,
You
I think
know
that's
what's funny?
confirmation enough.
I have a story. People who listen, y'all know the story already, but I'll tell you, Adama. So I had this whole podcast called Dreams and Drive, and it never hit me that my life almost ended in a car accident when I was a baby at 10 months old. Like, I was in a really bad car accident, but like, I'm still here. But the point is, like, it could have been there all along. The thing that we're supposed to be doing, this higher sign, whatever you believe in, right? Like, maybe it's supposed to be. Maybe this is you're on this journey, you were doing all this stuff, and this is gonna have a significance important. Like, AI is you. Like,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
Maybe if you get
basically, yeah.
married, if you ever get married, if you decide to take, your partner's name or whatever, like, just keep
Yeah.
abbreviate it. You don't need
Yeah,
that.
basically. Yeah, no, literally. Oh my God, no, I
But
gotta keep the brand.
last thing, if you want to be a dream driver, you have to have your keys to success. So, Adama, I want you to tell our dream drivers 3 things you think every dream driver needs in their toolkit before they hit the road. And maybe let's make this AI focused. Like maybe your top 3 AI tools, maybe, 3 AI thinkings. I don't know, but something, three keys to success, the AI version.
Ooh. Oh my God. One, I honestly, I always talk about Jasper so much. So if you're really starting to like start off and like you just like want to have like those like AI apps or templates like accessible, Jasper is really great. Copy AI, that's also great. Writer AI, all of those are very focused on like being marketing co-pilots and like being like focused on content generation. The other thing that I would honestly recommend is since I'm like very focused in terms of like resources, lead on YouTube. I actually emphasize this ridiculously now, honestly, because like I think that especially when it comes to just like accessibility in terms of like learning AI and wanting to explore like maybe like AI automations and exploring like such tools such as like workflow automations like Make.com or Zapier, there are a lot of like resources and growing space within YouTube to be able to start exploring it. And then the last thing I would recommend, me personally, I love like really leaning into like how to actually start systematizing it. So another tool I would recommend is like MindStudio is like was my first introduction into actually creating like AI apps and like actually creating those like workflows in one place. So that is like, and that I've now been exploring other like different type of like tools similar to that, such as Relevance AI, which is a little bit like more complicated. But Mind Studio was something that was able to be a lot like very digestible and accessible for me to really start exploring how to start systematizing it. um, I know that was three, but the last one that I have just real quick is Maven is a great platform if you're looking for just like AI education and you're like willing to like pay for it. I do think that Maven is definitely a really great platform that has a bunch of like AI education and just like courses like AI marketing and just like beyond that. Honestly, they have product management, they have AI for like business strategy, they have AI, like a lot of AI, growing AI courses that people can really utilize that are not just like about lecturing, but also really about like the practical use of it and how to start actually integrating it and utilizing it in like your everyday life or within your business or within specific operations. So yeah, those are the things I would definitely recommend.
Thank you so much for sharing. And then lastly, definitely tell our listeners where they can connect with you online, where they can learn more about the automated CMO and all the dope AI work you're doing.
Yeah, so you can follow me on LinkedIn, Adamma Ihemeson, and then you can also follow the LinkedIn page for the Automated CMO, which is the Automated CMO. I also, if you were interested, I do have like a beta for an AI marketing education hub where I am hosting weekly workshops on how to transform a prompt into an AI agent. Actually have one in like 30 minutes that I'm going to be hosting. And I always have those like posted on my LinkedIn. That is like the primary place that you can find me for the Automated CMO.
Thank you so much, Adama. This has been so enlightening. I've learned so much. I have a whole list of like AI resources I'm probably going to be playing around with today.
I'm glad.
And I just hope this inspires our dream drivers to realize like, take advantage of these tools, right? Technology is to be embraced. We don't have to fear it. We don't necessarily have to start out as experts, but at least trying to like experiment and just see how our workflows can be better, how this can help push the dream forward is something I just encourage you all. If this is your push, try it. Try it before you knock it, right? And just see how much it really does help your own journey. So thank you.
Thank you. This is great. I really enjoyed this.
Free audio post production by alphonic.com.